stopping by the channel. My name's Leah, and we're going to be recapping and reviewing Real Housewives of Miami. This is the first part of the reunion, and you know what? It was way better than Salt Lake City. I tell you that much. Let's get it. So the episode opens up, and I just want to say this. Shame on you, Peacock. Shame on you. Y'all, so we see all the ladies like getting ready to go from Miami to Manhattan to film the reunion. When they pulled up after getting off their planes, and I saw trailers, and I saw them walking into the trailers, and there was like 3 names on the trailers. I was like, y'all ain't have enough money to get them ready at a hotel and then bus them to the reunion spot. I don't know. There was no hotel across the street. The budget had to be low. The budget had to be low. Like, the set was pretty. The set was actually really pretty. I'm not even gonna lie. But because they were playing off of the whole Versace mansion thing. But the thing that was perplexing to me was like, if y'all have enough money to have such a nice set like this, why in the hell did you have those women in their nice outfits and they nice, garb in a trailer? And it was cold outside. I think that's why I didn't like it, because I'm like, they went from like 81 or 82 degree weather to 18 degrees, which is years younger than all these women. So I was just like, oh, I would have been in my feelings. I would have had an attitude, because I don't like being cold. I don't like being cold. So Leah would have been in her feelings. I would have been in my feelings. But like I said, if you want to check out what I thought about their outfits, I already did a video for that. But for the most part, I thought everybody looked okay except Adriana. Like, I didn't, like, honestly, Adriana looked like she was going to the rodeo. Like, all sis needed was like a rhinestone vest, jean vest, in a blue cowboy hat, the same as her attire. It was what it was. Like, I was like, Adriana, where we going, sis? Where we going? So Lisa was late. And I found it so funny how agitated Andy was. Andy was like, no hellos, no goodbye, sit down, girl, you late. I was like, Anthony, give the girl a minute. But it is true. Lisa needs to work on that. Because then she was like, I can't put on my jewelry. And he was like, put it on, but like, hurry up. And I was just like, yeah, Lisa, like, you can't constantly be late. And although Lisa looked pretty, she just had on a basic gown. Like, and her hair looked very basic. The makeup looked basic. And that's not to say she was basic, but it was just like, there was no razzle dazzle to it. So it was just kind of like, girl, why did it take y'all so long? Like, did you not get there on time, or were you late? I don't get it. So we start off the reunion, and they talk to Alexia first. They asked Alexia, like, you had such a beautiful moment with Todd when y'all eloped. Alexia said that's what Todd wanted to do. He just wanted to elope. And Gertie basically co-signed and was like, yeah, he always said he was fine with us eloping. The wedding was more so for Alexia. So then they bring up the whole allegations against Peter. And this is what the thing says. It says, it's from the Daily Mail, but it says Real Housewives of Miami star Alexia, y'all know I can't say that lady last name, son Peter, I think it's Rosalito, is charged with battery misdemeanor after allegedly a physical assault with his girlfriend. And Alexia's whole thing is like, we're denying the allegations, which makes me feel like, girl, your son probably put his hands on that girl, allegedly. And now there's like information saying that the girl isn't helping the police anymore. So that really makes me feel like, oh, he put his hands on her. And I don't know, maybe there was more to the fight, but he definitely did something. That's how I'm feeling. I just didn't like how Alexia coddles Peter. And it's like, do you not understand that the reason why you're in this predicament, or the reason why Peter is in this predicament, A, it's because it's Peter and he's just a screw up. But B, is because you always catch him when he falls. The fact that he doesn't see the necessary need to like change, or the necessary need to change himself, is because he always knows Alexia or his mom is going to pick him up. Because you were trying to like sugarcoat this when you could have just been like, you know what? he's denying the allegations, but this is like a sign that it's time for us to really change the trajectory of Peter's life. Because sis, and like I said on Twitter, I wish we could see a scene of Alexia getting in Peter's ass the way we saw Nene getting Bryson's that one season where she was like, when you find your mind, call me. Like, he needs that. And you can tell Alexia doesn't do that. The moment Peter cries, all of a sudden she calms, like, it's like, okay, Peter, okay. And that's annoying. We then have a moment, but like a slick moment between Julia and Larsa. And it was just kind of like, Julia, shut up. I don't even like Larsa like that. But this whole reunion, I was looking at Julia like, so I guess Adriana put a battery in your back and now you charged up to have beef with this lady. But this is my thing. If Larsa starts to hit below the belt, then don't be mad, Julia, because all you had to do was sit there and eat your food, because the lady really hasn't done anything to you. So then we have that whole conversation about the out of wedlock thing. And my thing is like, are y'all ashamed? That's what it feels like. Y'all are ashamed that y'all had kids out of wedlock. Because granted, I don't have no babies. And I'm not having any anytime soon. But it really feels like if y'all are so accomplished, you Miss Dr. Nicole, anesthesiologist, you Miss Farmer, supermodel, wife of a tennis legend or tennis superstar, Julia, why does it bother you that someone y'all feel is like beneath you, who is just married to a famous basketball player, said you had children out of wedlock? Because from Larsa's explanation, that's really what you did. Neither one of y'all married the men or are married to the men that you had kids with. And you did have them out of wedlock. And granted, what Nicole said was true. Like, in this day and age, everyone has kids in different ways. You have surrogacy. You have people having kids before they get married. Or you just have people like who are friends who just decide to have kids and want to co-parent in that way. So there are different ways to have families. But y'all were arguing, and a dig is a dig. So if you got clocked, you just say that. Let it go. So next thing you know, we get onto the topic of Nicole and her getting married. She does like, I just don't know. Something about Nicole to me is just so disingenuous, y'all. And I love the fact that she's a doctor. I think that's a wonderful aspect that we're starting to see more doctors on Real Housewives. You know, we got Dr. Wendy, we have Dr. Jen, we had Dr. Tiffany Moon. Now we have Nicole. But something about Nicole is very like, she really thinks she up here, but then she tries to cover it with tries to cover it like she's not. Because the whole conversation about the out of wedlock comment I found was stupid. Because I'm like, why did that bother you so much? If you're supposed to be like, y'all are supposed to be so open and free, and we have a different take on like our lives and things of that nature. You know, if I didn't want to marry Anthony, that was okay. But if he did want to get married, it sounds to me that Nicole is holding on to Anthony for dear life, and she flies whenever he flies. And it's not, to me, that's not a partnership, because she made it seem like she didn't want to get married. That's how she made it seem. But then when the opportunity presented itself, she said yes. And then when she had to explain that, like, when you pressure Anthony to do something, he goes the opposite direction. And I'm like, I wouldn't want to be with no one like that. I guess that's my thing, because it's like, if I'm telling you this is what I want out of the relationship, like I want to be married, I want to have kids, I want to do these things, and it makes you like subvert me and go a different way, then why would I be with someone who is that combative to what I want and what I feel is needed to make me comfortable? On top of that, I really do feel like something is shifty about them people finances, because I think Anthony is like in his 40s, and we know Nicole is like 32 or 33. Anthony's a lawyer and Nicole's a doctor. I have several friends who are like actual doctors who have just graduated or who's actually like practicing in the field. and then I also have friends who are either in law school or who are actual lawyers practicing in their field, who are around the ages of Anthony. Well, I won't say Anthony because Anthony, I ain't got no friends that old, but around the age of Nicole. And the thing about it is that debt on both ends is something serious. And to me, the fact that like they're able to buy new planes and to do this and to do that, I'm kind of like, what do y'all really do? Because I know anesthesiologists make good money, but the fact that Nicole is always trying to maneuver when they ask like what kind of what kind of lawyer or what kind of attorney is Anthony, and she can't never say what he does. Like she just said he's just a really good attorney. And I'm just like, that doesn't mean much, ma'am. He could what is it? What's that? Then y'all constantly buying new planes. And on top of that, why are y'all moving every year? Are y'all trying to outrun debt collectors? Like, it's just something about Nicole just seems very shifty. Very shifty. And like, if the series continue, I feel like something gonna come up. Something definitely is gonna come up. But we now have sitting on the couch Marisol and Adriana. And the topic of plastic surgery come up, y'all. So honestly, for the most part, the ladies look all right. I can say, let me find the picture so I can like look at it. I will say Alexia looks better in 2021 versus 2013. Like, makeup does wonders. And I don't know if she got her neck done because the picture they picked was you can definitely tell Adriana has had a lot of work done because she don't even, like, she looks like herself, but not really. But she look all right. Marisol has softened up her features, so she looks pretty good. I would say out of everybody, she looks kind of similar to what she did in 2013 versus 2021. Larsa looks completely different. Like, you could tell her face, like, she didn't have work on her face, her titties, you know, everything. And then Lisa looks okay. Lisa, I'm glad we found out that Lisa has like lesson putting fillers in her face, which I think is wonderful because it made her, she was starting to look like the cat lady. But now, even on this reunion, her face is so much softer. And she even said she was going to lessen putting fillers in her face because she likes the way that she looks now. So I'm glad it wasn't permanent. So Andy's shady because Andy asks everyone like what they've got done. We found out Alexia got new titties. We found out Adriana got new titties. And then they get on Larsa. Larsa basically lied. Larsa, we know your booty ain't real. We know your, and I get like some people was like, they're like surgery shaming. Oh well, she on TV. Is it right? No. But like, sis, when it's so much of a discrepancy between like what you look like in 2013 and versus now, and then your lie was I do exercises and I've gained weight. It's like, come on, Larsa. And then we have Adriana chiming in because now Adriana and Marisol are on the couches, and she was like, I just think your butt is just, it's ridiculous. So now Julia and Adriana are kind of tag teaming Larsa and kind of making like trying to like shame her. They then talk about like her OnlyFans, and Adriana brings up her son saying it's porn and all of that stuff. And to Larsa's credit, I do think if Larsa was like selling like full like nudity pictures, they would have been on the internet. I think she just wears sexy outfits and shows her feet because I really do think somebody by now, especially with her being on Real Housewives of Miami, would have like posted pictures of her, or would have did like, you know, an exclusive of like, let's go look at Larsa's, like, because I've seen people do that, like especially with like Love After Lockup, and I think I even seen on 90 Day Fiance. Well, people will like, content creators will buy a subscription to the person's actual OnlyFans and then like go through it with their fans to show them what it is. And no one's done that with Larsa. Plus, with Larsa's attachment to Kim and them, them things would have been leaked. They also talked about her talking in a baby voice, which she kind of does. But I think she even like, in 2013, she talked very softly before. I just think she probably lays it on a little bit thicker now. We then talk about what's it called? Gertie's event. You know, it got a little emotional because everyone was talking about her dad being there. Then Gertie was like, you know, some people didn't like donate. And Gertie was like, girl, pay up. And she bought the QR code. But I was kind of with Larsa and, not Larsa, Marisol and Adriana. No, it was Marisol and Alexia. Since we donated dresses, so we donated dresses that people could bid like upwards to like $5,000 on. That is to help you with your charity. So you're not getting money out of me. They could have slid her a little something, but I was like, Gertie, don't be tacky like that. Like, it's charity. I do hope she reached her goal. So then we talk to Gertie about, you know, her being messy about the foot washing thing. And with Martina, like, at the dinner where her and Alexia, I keep wanting to call Adriana Alexia, where Adriana and Gertie got into it about Adriana washing Julia's feet. And Gertie took ownership. Gertie was like, yeah, I kept saying it because you poked me. You said you discredited my decor, and I take that very personal, so I wanted to get back at you. And then Adriana apologized and says, you know, she didn't mean it that way. Like, she really didn't mean it that way. And then we had a very serious moment talking about Julia and, you know, what happened to her first child. And then the whole, and then Gertie having a miscarriage and things of that nature. And y'all, let's get into the story about Julia. I said, they're rehashing what happened at Julia and Martina's home before Julia's birthday. No, I think it was Martina's birthday party or one of their birthday parties. And where we have that really emotional scene with Gertie revealing that she had a miscarriage, Julia revealing that her son unfortunately was murdered, and then Adriana was there. And this was the first time in a while where at a reunion I was happy because clarity was given, because I felt like I felt like Adriana was doing too much, but I also felt like Gertie was doing too much. Like, when she kept getting up and getting down, it was just a lot for me. But I was happy because it made me sympathize with everybody. Because Gertie was very much like, you know, I didn't know you had a miscarriage. I didn't know you didn't have a miscarriage. I thought when you said that, I thought we could connect on the fact that I've had a miscarriage, which was something very hard and traumatic for me. And then Adriana's whole thing was like, I was trying to protect Julia because Julia never speaks about this. We end up finding out that had Maximilian still been alive and here with us, he would have been the same age as Adriana's son. And she was like, oftentimes when my son does something great, I always wonder, like, oh my gosh, like, Max could have been here, or Max could have been doing something as great as my son, because they both were born in the early in 2000. Then Julia was saying, like, you know, she doesn't hold anything against Gertie. Like, they talked because she knows Gertie's heart was in the right place. Like, but she just felt like I was trying to get this out and still try to comfort you. And it was just hard for me. She even referenced, like, she felt like someone was, like, choking her because she was, like, trying to get the words out. And so, y'all, they then talk about, like, the baby daddy. And because around the time when all of this happened, I was, like, in elementary school. So I was confused. I was confused. I was like, so when this happened? Like, when did this happen? Wait. Yeah. So when did this happen? So, like, we end up talking about it. And y'all know I had to get on Google and I started to search the person. So the man's name is Edward Stern. I thought the way that Julius told the story was so, like, it was captivating. Because she was saying how she met the guy. She felt like he was like Dorian Gray. And if you don't know who Dorian Gray is, like an old story about like this guy who never ages, who's like hundreds and thousands years old, who's kind of sinister. And she was like, that's what she felt when she met him. She was very young. She ends up meeting the lady. So it was weird. It kind of sounded like that man might have like allegedly got her baby killed because he didn't want Julia to have his baby, because she was like, she got pregnant. She had the baby. She was looking for nanny care. She ends up getting this seeing this thing in the paper of this one lady who fit perfectly to what she needed in a nanny, and the next thing you know, her child is shaken to death. She then ends up finding out that like the way that in which she got in contact with the nanny was from his secretary. So I'm like, oh, this sounds like some shady like some shady stuff. So then this lady comes, and I can't remember her name, but I'm gonna post a picture of the article that has a picture of the lady, where she supposedly told her, what came to Julia basically saying, if you tell me everything you know about Edward, which his name was Edward Stern, then I'll tell you what truly happened to your son. And Julia was like shook, and she told the lady to leave, and she never wanted to speak with her again. And then a few days later, Edward was killed. And there were some misconceptions of what happened, because Marisol was me, because Marisol was a the whole time. And Marisol said that supposedly the guy either died in a latex suit, which made me think of American Horror Story, but he either died in a latex suit, but then Julia said no, he got she shot him to death. So I guess he was already like either he already suffocated in the latex suit, or he got shot to death. It didn't make sense. So then I went to Googling. You know me, I went to Googling. And this is what a little excerpt of it says. It says, the man in the latex suit. The killing in Geneva of Edward Stern, one of Europe's richest men, stunned the global financial elite. Once the heir apparent to the Michael David Willie, his father-in-law at the investment bank of Lizard Ferris, I think I said that, Stern, was known as much for his brutal arrogance as for his dashing style. With the exclusive access to the financier's inner circle, including the friend who found the latex-clad, bullet-riddled body, Brian, I think is Bergerer, reveals the fears and the enemies that plague Stern's last days, as well as their erotic entanglement that came undone just before his death. So if you want to go read it, the article legitimately says it's a Vanity Fair article. But if you want to read it, type in the text, the man in a latex suit. So then we talk about Larsa getting her divorce. We find out that her and Scotty met when I guess she was 21. So she's been with him basically her whole adult life. And she said it was hard to sign the divorce papers because she was just like, we're at a good place. I was interested to find out that they had a prenup, but because they were together more than 10 years, the prenup went away. I said, okay, Larsa. And she basically said we had a good run. He didn't cheat. He was like, women would throw themselves at him, but he was still faithful to me. She just said we were separate. She also stated that, what did she say? She says, I forgot, y'all, I just had the thought and it just left me. She said something about how everything was, Future. She talked about how when that whole thing happened with Future, that her and Scotty basically were separated. So she really didn't cheat, but in the public eyes, we saw her cheat, cheating, because we didn't know the behind the scene tea that they weren't together anymore. We then have a moment where Julia and Adriana are starting to go back and forth with Larsa again, and they bring up about how Larsa blurts out I know Jacob's real girlfriend, and that's when they ask if Jacob can come on. Adriana was like, well, we can bring him up on stage, and Andy shut that down so quick. Andy was like, no, and then just shuffled his cards and was like, next question. I don't get why Adriana brung him. Nobody else brung their significant others. So what was the need of you bringing Jacob? And Jacob was only on 2 episodes and he really didn't add much. And then Jacob, the people were saying Jacob might not be a part of, my team. He might be part of the other team. And he was giving very much that when their relationship, I won't even say he was giving that. I disregard that. I will say that his relationship with her doesn't seem genuine or real, especially with the way he was like joking with her about, you know, having another man or having 2 dates at once. It just seemed fake. Like that whole relationship seems fake. And then like it just seems fake. I also don't like how they be trying to come at Larsa about OnlyFans, but then in one breath talk about we're liberated women. When it's like, and I was happy Larsa clocked Adriana when Larsa said, okay, I do OnlyFans, my kids take pictures of me, and your son doesn't feel okay with you taking OnlyFans, but does he feel okay with you being naked half the season? And I was like, yeah, we saw your titties all the time. And Adriana said, when? And I said, you showed your titties at Larsa's party the first episode. You got in the tub naked at Larsa's house when y'all were in the Hamptons. And then Adriana's rebuttal was like, I don't get paid for it. I said, that's stupid, because you should get paid. Like, you should want to be paid for showing your body. So you sound stupid. So then the episode ends with the argument between Nicole, Marisol, and Alexia, where, you know, they talk about Marisol coming at Nicole, and Marisol was basically like, bro, I don't lie. I don't lie. And my thing was like, Nicole was getting ate up. As much as y'all love her, but she was getting it, because the fact that she tried to like spin it and take the moral high ground and be like, we're arguing about interior design. Yes, Heffa, yes, we're arguing about interior design. You're on a show that is like, show your lifestyle, show your careers, but also be catty hoes. That is what y'all are supposed to do. So whenever someone, like, you can tell in Housewives, when someone is losing an argument, they always try to take the moral high ground. And I was like, it backfires, because my thing is like, you're on this show for that reason. You know what Housewives gives, so miss me with that. So then Nicole starts to say that, like, the reason why, you know what? I'm not even about to rehash that. This is my thing. I think everybody is telling the truth. I just think people are sprinkling in extra things. I don't think Marisol is lying about Nicole talking trash, because her husband gives me very much arrogant tease. But I also think Marisol might be putting some extra stank on it, like some people like to say. I do think Nicole thinks she's better than most of the ladies on the couch because she is a doctor. At least, y'all, people over here now. But like I was saying, I do think Nicole thinks she's better than everybody else, but I also think that I don't think she's lying. I don't think she's lying. And that's the thing, I don't even think Marisol is lying. I think Nicole might have said things, maybe maybe the context of what she said got misconstrued, but I don't think Marisol is lying. I also don't think Alexia is lying. And like I saw something where I felt like someone said on Twitter where they were like, I feel like Alexia probably baited Nicole into like, you know, when people think of strategy as it pertains to Housewives, maybe some people were saying like maybe Alexia told Nicole that information about Marisol being desperate. And Marisol even said she was being a little bit desperate. Like she got FOMO. Like she didn't want to, like her friends were doing a show that she was on and she wanted to be a part of it. And she was like, she wanted to be a part of the group. And some people were like, well, maybe Alexia did tell Nicole that, to see if Nicole would bring it to the group. And I mean, if it is true she did that, then like, it is what it is now. But I can't wait for next episode. So drop down in the comments below. Also, remember to be bravely authentic. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.